The silver shoes. I love it. Sarah, why did you choose silver?
They chose me. Really, I had nothing to do with it. I saw them in a market and they spoke to me. There's a bit of Imelda Marcos in me, as you can see, but a silver Imelda Marcos.
Exactly, there's a tremendous consistency.
Somebody once sent me a postcard and the card wrote underneath, "The secret of life is finding a hairstyle you're happy with and sticking with it." And that's why I wear silver shoes.
I think that's the Italian influence in your life.
You do? You do? I think what it really meant, Joseph, that I was a bit Italian before I found Florence.
That's right. You guys found at the market?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
I like him.
Yes. He looks better with little bits of cheese on him. I think that in some way I grew up in the most fortunate era to be a woman. I really do, actually, because for many kind of economic and cultural reasons, when that second wave of feminism burst in the late 60s and 70s, we were really ready for it, and there was no way but forward. So during the course of my life, I have had a truly remarkable life as a woman. I've had an incredible education. I've been brought up with other women who truly believed along with me that there was nothing we couldn't have if we worked hard enough for it. At a moment when the economy was suggesting that it needed women in the economy, so it was no longer pushing us back into the home. I've jumped class. I was born into a kind of upper working class. I'm now middle class. I'm a creative professional. I've earned enough money. I've owned my own house without living or marrying a man. I have been allowed to be totally independent and fulfilled. And I am, and I really know it, extremely lucky, because it's not quite the same anymore. Because when I look at my daughters, who are now 17 and 20, and I think about the world that they've grown up in, I think it's a much crueler and tougher world for everybody, but also for women. Every magazine that they pick up is about, it may have women's names in it, but boy, they're not women's names running companies and writing books or being head of universities. They're women's names because they're too fat or too thin, or they're on a beach with their latest lover, or they just scored high in a celebrity reality TV show or whatever. So the role models being sold to them are essentially extremely vacuous. And yet that's now what they're supposed to aspire to. And this is even more complex, which is if they have grown up in a largely feminist, and I say that word with complete pride because it's sometimes used as an insult, and we really need to get it back as a compliment, in a feminist household, then it's quite likely that the mother that they've grown up with has actually been successful and has probably become a bit of a hard act to follow. So that when they grow into their adult selves, they're not only having to find out who they are in the culture, they're not only having to be intelligent and really good looking and able to do 3 jobs at once, and etc., etc. Not only is all this being asked of them in order to be a successful woman, but somehow they have to trump or equal their mum. And how can they do that? Because they don't live in the same age as we did. It's not possible. The bar has lifted so far now. And so what I'd like to see is this generation understand that actually it's quite hard for them. And they need to be a bit kinder to each other. And they need to start talking about how they're being manipulated into having to behave. I sort of think we need a new feminism which is starting to be a bit angry again about all the boxes that they're supposed to tick in order to be successful women. It's very ironic, isn't it, that actually the children that we've had may have been the victims of our success. It was certainly not what we ever intended.